Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to Crush Cash Games, episode 36. As always, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please just click that little button. I very, very much appreciate it. Hope everybody's had a happy, healthy, well, probably not too healthy Thanksgiving, but a happy one nonetheless with the family. If you can't tell, I'm a little stuffy, but in good spirits. Today, going to be playing some 400 no limit and also 600. The games, the six max games weren't really running when I filmed this or screen captured it, if you will. So we do have two full ring games, and I know that one of the tables I leave about midway through the video. So not much data on our opponents. Look to be a couple of short stacks at the bottom left table. That's generally good news. I would say a guy that has $307 is generally good for the home team. And the bottom right table, the 6th seat, looks to be the only one that we can tell at a glance is going to be fishy. The top right table, who knows? I don't know these 9 max players. 9. I don't normally play full ring, but like I said, it's the only thing running, and I have found that the full ring games can be good. I mean, a lot of the 6 max regs just avoid the full ring games altogether. Like myself, I'm definitely guilty of that. If there are 6 max games available, I sit in those and will not sit at the full ring. The only reason that I sat in these was there was nothing going. So the competition does tend to be weaker, which is good for the win rate. But playing 9 max, obviously we have to play a little tighter than we otherwise would. The 6th seat at the top left looks to be, limping first in, probably a fish, which is, he's playing 70% of hands at a full ring with a $1,000 stack. That's pretty good for us, not for him. So, I also have my program at enhanceyouredge.com. If you have not subscribed to my newsletter, I very much would appreciate it if you did. There you get access to 20 free training videos just like this one that are in the video vault that you can watch, where I play some limits, some of the smaller limits for you guys that are playing 25 NL, 50 NL, 100 NL. I venture down into those games and do my best. To my knowledge, I don't think there was a ton of action in this session, so there's bound to be some downtime. I've also been streaming on Twitch. I did a 4-hour Twitch session yesterday, and probably should have screen grabbed some while I was doing that, but I'm a simple person, and my mind can only focus on like a few things at once. So I was trying to interact with the viewers and play good poker, winning poker, and recording a video, timing it, and doing all that stuff just proved to be too tough for me. Maybe next time. There's always, we can always get better. My think tank for Enhance Your Edge seems to be going well. We've there's 7 of us or seven of them in the group, along with three or four coaches who are playing up to 600 NL, some 1,000 NL, and I've really enjoyed being a part of that. I'm going to continue doing it on a monthly basis and cap the number of think takers to 12. So if you're considering joining, now's the time to get involved before the slots get filled up. Ace Jack off in the small blind, we can 3-bet button steal. I think I like 3-betting better than flatting. We can flat. This guy he doesn't seem to be super aggressive. He's probably going to steal relatively often. Ace 9 off would have been an isolate had the 3-seat not isolated before me. Excuse me. Ace 9 off would be a hand if we were on the button and the 3-seat was the cutoff that I would like to 3-bet the 3-seat with. And my reasoning for 3-betting a hand like Ace 9 off is I don't think it's strong enough to flat on the button. Multi-way, it's just not going to play very well, but it's going to be good to re-isolate. So not good enough to flat, good enough to 3-bet. We have a blocker. May as well chunk it into our 3-bet range. And as you can see, the isolator had kings and didn't do so hot. Pretty nice when, I don't know his exact stats. I only have 16 hands on him, or maybe he's only been at the table for 16 hands, but pretty nice when you're playing 44-38 and you wake up with kings in an isolation spot. You're just salivating, knowing that you're probably going to get action. Very profitable spot. Whereas, like at the top left, if we get aces at some point and we haven't played a hand yet, or the top right where we're just playing super full ring Nitville, not really feeling so great about getting aces or kings, because our stats are very indicative to what we're holding. Ace 5 suited, gonna open under the gun. Can't defend versus cutoff 3-bet. Shouldn't be much of a reason for him to go out of his way to attack us. So have to assume that he's probably got a hand like 10s or jacks plus. Probably jacks plus. Ace queen plus. Whenever you get 3-bet in spots like that, where you have something medium strong, like king jack suited or ace jack off, ace jack suited, and we raise under the gun and get 3-bet, we don't really know how to continue, it's good to think about whether the guy has any real incentive to attack us or not, and if he's just going out of his way to where it's not a spot that he should really be attacking us with the bottom of his range, then we can just go ahead and pretty easily fold. The king queen off, in hindsight, I think I would rather 3-bet than flat from the small blind, especially with our stats. We can turn king queen into basically turn it into a bluff and attack pretty credibly. When he checks back on 6, 8, 10, I don't think he's got tons of value. I think we could have bet the turn and probably taken it down. And in hindsight, betting is just going to be my pretty standard play there, especially because we blocked king 10 and queen 10. We're going to have a fair amount of value in our bet range. Tough for him to flat with the hands that he checks back. Wouldn't have loved the river pairing the 8, because I think that he does check back some 8, 9, 7, 8s, ace of 8s. So if we did bet the turn, we probably bet the river because we have no showdown equity at all once he calls, but definitely not loving the 8. And had we gone ahead and 3-bet the king queen, 10, 8, 6 would have been a board that we're likely to barrel through on. I think that players are going to raise us at some point with the top of their range, which is sets. Most players, I would say, if they're tricky and good and balance their ranges very well, they can just flat their sets, realize that we have a lot of 1 pairs. I guess there's only 8 cards that can really, well, if they have middle set or bottom set, then the top pair pairing can kill their action as well. But the 8 cards would be on 6, 8, 10, the 4 7s and the 4 9s that pre-flop 3-better would not love. King 10 at the top left, we could have raised to... Oh, actually, no, it's 3 ways. Yeah, I like just checking my option. If it was heads up, we could raise to C's initiative versus the 1 seed, build a bigger pot against the guy that's playing 78% of his hands. But 3 ways, out of position, would rather just check and try to make a pair, try to flop some equity. Pocket 5s, we can flat the under the gun raise. Again, I wouldn't mind chunking it into our 3-bet range. We can 3-bet it profitably versus this guy who seems to be raising under the gun pretty light. Although 5s plays just fine multi-way. The big blind is a fish seemingly. So we do want to invite him. I like flatting the fives actually better than three betting. Three betting the ISO raise with the ace jack, using our image to attack the 3 seat. The 1 seat appears to be a pretty big fish. 3 seat should be ISO raising very light. Throw out a small bet with the fives for protection. And the 7 pairing is not a good result for us. We have the old 5 high. Do beat deuces and trays. And calling a pot-sized bet on the river would be pretty epic, but I think really no choice but to fold. When the 5 seed does bet pot, he does have a lot of queens in his range. I feel he's betting pot for value. Seven, 8 off, easy C bet spot, easy value bet spot with our 8. We can pretty safely assume that this villain's going to be betting his trips after we check back the turn. So once he checks, he's going to have some pocket pairs, some ace highs, gut shots that missed, and maybe some flush draws that missed as well. But no reason to size up. When we hit the 8, we would love to get called by his ace highs. That would be nice. He folded so quickly. Maybe just had busted some kind of busted gut shot that was like 7 high or 6 high or 5 6, something like that. Betting small with the ace 8. Feel like they're gonna expect some bets out of me once it's checked on the flop. We can probably get called by worse. I like sizing down to get called by worse. If we size up, then probably only getting called by some better aces, occasionally some worse aces. Pre-flop raiser, check calling the flop. Not exactly sure what that means. Since I did bet 20 into like 41, he does have some gut shots, queen jack, king queen, king jack in his range. Not going to get 3 streets with our ace 8. Even, we turn the nut flush draw. Would much rather check back, give ourselves a chance to make the nut flush, induce some bluffs on the river, and also potentially get a value bet in versus a check. So even though the strength of our hand improved on the turn, I don't see much incentive to betting. Opening deuces under the gun. 1 seat seems to be 3 betting at an obnoxious amount. This very tiny 3 bet. We can flat, we can 4 bet. I think either are going to be fine. He gave us great odds to flop a set, and also, but I think with his tiny sizing pre-flop, he doesn't have super strong range, and 4 betting is going to be a profitable play as well. Probably more profitable than calling the flop a set, because if he's very wide and we flop a set, we're not inclined to get a ton of action. And when we're set mining, obviously, we want our opponents to generally be at the top of their range. We want them to have aces, kings, queens, because when we flop a set, we want to get value. That's the plan. Looks like I'm leaving this atrocious table on the left. The game was good, but in 24 hands, I hadn't played a hand yet. And hopping into a 3-6. Gonna peel with sevens. Fine hand to peel with. Gonna check call on Jack 5 tray. Especially villain with 75% c-bet, raising as often as he is. This is going to be a board that he bets fairly regularly. He sizes up on the turn, and we just kind of let it go. Had we had King Jack, Queen Jack, Ace Jack, and he sizes up on the turn, pretty sure we're just gonna call the turn and probably call the river as well. There are a fair amount of busted draws that he could have, assuming the river is a brick. Blind versus blind with a king 7 off, raising against what appears to be a pretty tight villain in the big blind. Isolating with the ace 8 off versus under the gun limper. If the 6-seat 3-bets us, I would be inclined to throw out a 4-bet. Even though he hasn't 3-bet yet, I think that's a great spot to re-isolate. Like I was talking about with the ace 9 off earlier, I think the hands that are too weak for him to outright call, but he wants to turn them into 3-bet bluffs. I think that's a really good spot to pick, and I think the more clever opponents are going to pick up on that and be inclined to 3-bet. I really don't like 3-betting hands like King Queen suited, Queen Jack suited, Jack 10 suited. The pocket, most of the pocket pairs, up to even 10s, I like flatting and inviting the limper in the pot. Hands like ace 9 off, ace 6 off, ace 7 off, ace 8 off, ace deuce, ace 4. Even some worse hands on occasion, depending on just how wide I feel like the button's isolating the limper. King Queen at the top left, check raising with our blockers, not repping a ton, expect villain to just give up a fair amount of the time. Once he flats in the 6 pairs, that makes our story less credible. Tougher to have full houses. If the turn is a club, we are going to bet. Villain's going to think that, if he does peel with his jacks, Jack 10, Queen Jack, King Jack, Ace Jack, he's going to feel like we do have a fair amount of flush draws in our range, and most likely give them up to a turn bet. And we should bet a size. We should size up to dissuade villain from calling with a hand like King Jack with the King of Clubs. Because if we size down and villain does end up calling with a hand like King Jack with a King of Clubs, then we really don't know what to do on the river. We don't know if we've given villain odds to peel with those type of hands and know that a river bet's in order. If we size up on the turn, fold out a lot of those hands, we know that we're facing a lot of flushes, basically, and river bet is not in order. The 7-9 of hearts, tray 5, very hard for him to have a tray, very hard for him to have a full house. We raise under the gun +1, just going to barrel through. Villain's going to have a decent amount of pocket 4s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s in his range. maybe some floated tens even. I don't even mind if villain calls this bet because our range should include a lot of value. Happy that he didn't though. Don't mind if he does. Happy that he didn't to take down the pot. So while we have a little break in the action, again, if you guys haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, do it. It gives me happiness, and you gotta keep me happy. I don't know why you want to keep me happy, but just for to be a humanist, I guess. You show somebody results for the thing that they're putting out there in the world. I think that's a good thing. It gives me a lot of joy creating these videos and putting them out there, and I hope they genuinely improve your game and make you money, and hopefully not against me, but if it is, then so be it. Pocket fives in the small blind, jack 8 off in the big blind, defending. Oh, bless me. Could probably bet on the river once the board runs out 4 to a straight. Villain is likely to bet his gut shots. He's likely to bet his pairs on the turn. If he calls me with ace high, he calls me with ace high. But I think an $18 bet on the river was in order. Gotta sneeze again. Excuse me. Ace 3 suited versus cut off limp and button isolate. That could be a hand that we chunk into our 3-bet bluff range. Not strong enough to play, but strong enough to weaken. It's not strong enough to play, but pretty enough to throw into our 3-bet bluff range. How's that? Is that good phrasing? Ace 3 is just a pretty hand. Ace 6 off is not a pretty hand, but gotta give love to the not pretty hands sometimes. I know that some of those 3-betting spots where we can bluff seem trivial, but they are high percentage. They are going to affect our win rate over the long term, and we gotta become at peace with occasionally getting 4-bet and having to fold, occasionally getting called and having to play a pot out of position with a crappy hand. These are skills that we need to learn, and if they feel bad in the beginning because we're not used to navigating the waters, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. I won't say easier, but the more comfortable you feel with determining when to barrel, determining when to just give up, determining when to check call, determining when to do an out of position float even, or something of that nature. And it does look like this video going to be winding down. Full ring table. Didn't do much for me. Playing 10-10 over 41 hands. Does look like there's pretty good value though. So king tray suited, easy defend versus min button raise. 10-8 suited, going to c-bet on this board. We have a full complement of backdoor draws. If villain does call, we're probably just going to give it up. This villain does seems fishy, and generally don't love trying to make fishy type players fold out pair. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. We got 30 seconds left. I know I'm a bit under the weather. Should be fine for next week. Y'all kick some ass, take some names, subscribe to my channel, join my newsletter, and maybe see you on Twitch this upcoming week. Twitch.tv/enhanceYourEdge. Alright guys, good luck at the tables. Make some money. And I'm gonna go out with a win, the 5-5. See y'all next week.